one of the elementary schools teacher that I used to go to at St. Conrad's came to I was teaching at Ramota Station at St. Bernard's. She came and said, "Would you like to join Miss Ramota?" So I said, "Fine." Then they came in the evening in a big truck with a bullhorn and they took me to Ramota to Mokhosi Elementary School. That's where the contest was at. And there were girls that they had been practicing because I was at Sakujwane Masimu all the time. I never had a chance to practice with them. And then I joined, I was number 35. And then the evening came up and we were walking around and I remember someone saying, "Smile," and I smiled and walked. I had a pink dress that I bought for 50 cents at the station from the station master's wife who was selling garage sale. It was a beautiful dress and I was wearing it. And I had borrowed a necklace from another girl that I went to school with, Mary Victor. She's late, I gather. I was asked a few questions. What is your impression of Botswana? I said I'm very pleased with Botswana's progress. That was at the beginning of the country's establishing itself. And it was Botswana Council of Women that was running Botswana, Miss Botswana. And I was picked to go and represent Ramotwa Kohaburoni at the town hall on April 14th, I think, or 4th.
This is 1960?
1967.
Okay.
And then I walked the town hall. There was the Scaras music that was playing. And then I was picked. It was a very, very involving type. I had some donors, like their Muhayden's, store had offered me a pink, beautiful dress and some shiny shoes. And I had a yellow purse to carry. And I got, asked, there was Miss Chepe, who was one of the judges, and Miss Ralph Ramulefe. They were the judges, and they asked me questions like, what do you think of Botswana's progress? I said I liked their work, food for work program. People were working and preparing roads because in those days there was no pavement, all dirt road across all over the country. And they would pick the rocks and remove them. And then they would get meal and some raisins and some cooking oil to cook, because Botswana was very poor at that time. I I told them I'm very, very pleased with the progress that Botswana could eat something, could have something to eat. And and then that evening I was announced as the winner. Miss Stamule Moeng was my first runner-up from Suroe, as Miss Lillian Tauniane was my second runner-up from Tonota. And I got a crown which was very, very pretty. It had to be pinned with pins and held onto my head.
Do you still have the crown today?
No, I had to give it to the next following Miss 1968, Miss Botswana.
Let's go back to the day you won. What sort of prizes were they?
I got 74 rand,
Okay.
75 rand, and a tea set. That was all I got.
I assume there was a lot of money at the time.
Yeah, at that time, that was oodles of money.
And what did you do with the money?
I paid for my tuition at the TTC. I used it to pay for my tuition. And then the rest I gave to my family. My family was very poor. They were farmers. They called peasant at that time. So I shared with my siblings who were in elementary school at that time. I bought them clothes and food.
Harry at the time, you talked about how you never knew about this pageantry world. But how did that teacher pick you to say, go and participate at the Ramotswa competition? What did they see in you that you did not see?
She said I was, beautiful at that time. And she said, you should come and try.
You're still
I said,
beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. So I went and joined. That was my my whole goal, and I won.
Was there ever a welcome ceremony? I mean, here you are crowned Miss Ramotswa. Now you eventually are crowned the fairest of them all in Botswana. Coming back to Ramotswa, did they hold?
They St. Conrad's put together a little welcome party for me at the mission, and I celebrated with the teachers and the students that were there that day. And then I went back to the station, and I was given 2 weeks of vacation off from teaching.
How would you say winning Miss Botswana changed your life?
I managed to go to America and go to college, go to the University of Santa Barbara in California, and got a degree in sociology. I came back to New Mexico and I taught high school and elementary school. That was a good plus for me, because I managed to succeed somewhere. Botswana has progressed beyond my recognition. I can't even figure out where I am anywhere I go now. I used to know this village from left to right. Now I can't even find, where I am when I'm in this village. It's so completely changed. The buildings, thatched roofs everywhere. You don't see any thatched roof houses around. You see green tanks of water, and there's malls everywhere, Chop Dads.
Yes.
Chop Dads was a little store right next to where I was teaching at St. Teresa's. The kids used to go by Archer and
Mmegi.
Maguinya. I just used to say, "Ka young." Archer was so smelly, and they would come and lunchtime. They run and get Maguinya and Archer and eat it.
Yeah, I can imagine. As and you'll advise me now. Our Miss Botswanas are given the opportunity to meet a sitting president and have an opportunity to actually sit down with the sitting president and talk about whatever it is that they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have that opportunity at the time to meet our leader then, who was Teresa Rantao-Ogle?
I met Teresa Rantao-Ogle at the Peace Corps volunteer graduation party at Ras Pratt, who was the director of Peace Corps in Botswana, in Gaborone. That was the first time I met the president and his first lady, Ruth Kama.
Yeah.
And Jackie Kama was there. Teresa Rantao-Ogle was such a beautiful person. He was such a nice down-to-earth person. So was the First Lady. They were just so welcoming. I ran into Ruth Kama in town. She recognized me right away and said hello to me. And I was by the mall at the shop, restaurant, the shop, the first by President Hotel. You know that there used to be a grocery store right next to there. I was getting into the into the grocery store, and she happened to fall into me, and I said, "Hi, Lady Kama." She was such a beautiful person inside and outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was the president.
Okay, and still on them, and we're just passing on this one. In today's age, we see presidents and first ladies walking around with a whole entourage, bodyguards and everything. Was that the same with
No, there wasn't. No, he was just sitting on the chair, just being, president, and that was it. There was none of this follow-up with entourage and all that. It was a beautiful time of life. There was no threats from outside or inside. At times, some of those were my age and they knew about me, yeah, but not that much. I was just elusive. I couldn't, I didn't go anywhere after that. I was in Botswana, just close then and decline, I guess.
And then finally, because I see we're running a bit out of time, Miss Botswana has changed over the years. I don't know if you've been following.
I've been following it. They get good cars and all that. I didn't even have a taxi to go anywhere. I was just Miss Botswana by the crown that I had.
But I assume it's a beautiful evolvement.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful evolution of Miss Botswana. I got young ones just got all kinds of good gifts and stuff.
Yes.
And they travel the world, and there was a Miss Universe that got chosen from Botswana.
Botswana celebrates 60 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which would mark 60 years since you were crowned
Miss Botswana.
Miss Botswana.
Uh-huh.
What message do you have for Botswana as we celebrate 60 years? I think it's the Diamond Jubilee, if I'm not mistaken.
I would like for Botswana to continue with what they have been doing. It's been a very progressive country. Unfortunately, the diamonds are down, which is such a, it was an uplifting type. It got Botswana to where it is. Unfortunately, things change so much, and I'm disappointed in that. But I hope I hope Botswana keeps corruption down, and hope that they would invest in the youth and help out the children to get education and move on. I just hope God keep blessing Botswana